You finally start changing. You wake up earlier. You stop procrastinating. You train. You focus. You do the work. And yet, something feels off. It feels unstable. Almost fake. Like you are acting. Like it won't last. Why does real change feel unreal? Because your identity updates slower than your behavior. That delay has a name. The identity lag effect. And it is not motivational. It is biological. Your brain is not built to experience reality directly. It is built to predict it. In modern neuroscience and cognitive science, this is called predictive processing. The brain runs an internal model and constantly updates it to reduce uncertainty, to reduce surprise, to stay stable. And your identity is part of that model. Not who you truly are, but who your brain expects you to be, based on past evidence, patterns, emotions, habits, repetition. This is why identity feels solid. Because the brain treats it like a prediction, a default setting. Now here is the problem. When you change your behavior, you create a mismatch between the old prediction and the new evidence. In predictive coding, this mismatch is called prediction error. And prediction error is not just a thought. It is a signal, a biological alert. Because the brain treats unpredictability as risk. Not always physical risk. Sometimes social risk, emotional risk, identity risk. Your brain would rather be consistent than improved. Because consistency reduces prediction error. And reducing prediction error stabilizes the system. This is why change feels fake. You are living new behavior inside an old self-model. Your actions moved forward, but your internal predictions stayed behind. So your nervous system feels conflict. And conflict feels like danger. And the brain responds with regulation, fatigue, doubt, resistance. The sudden urge to return to what is familiar. Not because you are weak, but because the brain is trying to restore a stable model. There is also a brutal energy reason for this. The brain is metabolically expensive. It is only around 2% of body weight. But it consumes roughly 20% of the body's energy at rest. So the brain loves efficiency. It automates what it can. Old habits are efficient. Old identity is efficient. Even if it is limiting. Because it is predictable. And predictability is cheap. Change is expensive. Change forces recalculation. New predictions. New emotional responses. New social risk assessments. New behaviors under uncertainty. That costs energy. So the brain pushes back. Now we go deeper. Why does it feel personal? Because identity is not just a story. It is supported by networks in the brain. One of the most studied is the default mode network. Linked to self-referential thinking, autobiographical memory, and the mental me that narrates your life. When you change, you are not just changing what you do. You are disrupting what the brain repeatedly says you are. And the brain protects that continuity. Philosopher Thomas Metzinger calls this the self-model. A model that creates the experience of being someone. And that model does not update instantly. So during identity lag, you have two competing realities. The old identity and the new behavior. This is the most fragile stage of transformation. Because the brain has a simple solution. If the new behavior creates too much prediction error, eliminate it. Return to the old model. And suddenly you relapse. Not because you didn't want it, but because your nervous system chose stability over uncertainty. So what actually solves identity lag? Not motivation. Evidence. The brain updates beliefs the way a statistician updates beliefs. Gradually. By accumulation. This connects to the Bayesian brain idea. The brain weighs evidence and uncertainty, then updates the model when evidence is strong enough. And plasticity follows repetition. That is the core of learning. Neural pathways strengthen through repeated activation. Hebbian learning in simple terms. What you repeat becomes wired. Which means the solution is not dramatic change. It is controlled evidence. Small. Consistent. Repetitive. So here are the strategies. Built directly from the science. First. Stop trying to feel authentic immediately. During identity lag. Authentic is delayed. If you wait until it feels like the real you will quit too early. Second. Shrink the change until your nervous system can tolerate it. Because the goal is not intensity. The goal is repetition. What you repeat becomes predictable. And what becomes predictable becomes safe. Third. Track evidence like a scientist. Not like a critic. Write down the action. Not the emotion. Because emotions are also predictions. Constructed from past experience and context. If you measure behavior, you build proof. If you measure feelings, you feed the old model. Fourth. Expect the snapback. That moment when you feel pulled back. That is not failure. That is the system trying to stabilize. Your job is not to fight it. Your job is to repeat anyway. Because repetition is how the brain updates identity. And here is the key reframe. Change feels fake. Because your brain is still running the old prediction. So do not ask, why doesn't this feel real yet? Ask this instead. How much evidence have I given my brain? And now the final question. The one that decides who you become. Will you keep acting? Even while it still feels unfamiliar. Until your brain finally accepts. This is who I am now. If this helped you understand your mind better, subscribe for more psychological truths.